Ladies and gentlemen, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, welcome back to the ETF2L Nations Cup in 2024. Made it all the way to the semi-finals now. Tonight we have, first of all, for you the semi-finals, then we'll be doing the finals right afterwards. For right now, we've got France playing up against Sweden. Both of these teams made it through their quarterfinals yesterday. Sweden, very close game, versus Hungary, managed to pull out in 2 maps. France, much more unbothered. Unfortunately, we don't get to see too much because they didn't upload any screenshots or demos. But we've got Beta running a production with me, and then I've got none other than Domato here as well to spread some German propaganda here. How are you doing?
Bonsoir and good kvalle. I'm not spreading any propaganda. I'm happy to be here. Also, since you mentioned it, if you want to look at a match page, you already gave that impetus to see what match page to look at, to see every sort of minor warning you can get in a match. A lot of them were dished out. I don't want to get too philosophical here, but what does semifinal really mean? The obvious answer is that we only have 4 teams left, but the underlying aspect is obviously only, undoubtedly, unarguably, the very best 4 teams of this tournament certainly left. It is a bit augmented, obviously, by the fact that we have a multiple playoff stages tournament played during a weekend in midsummer. Maybe that also has something to play. But I mean, I am definitely looking toward France here, maybe being a little bit of the favorites. I get to the storyline revolving about both of those teams in a little bit. Also, the rosters will get introduced as we go on. But quick, so you can get chastised early. What is your prediction for this?
I think I agree with you here. I think you look across the board, you look at this French roster, I think you should start off with it right away. We've got QB, an Alien running up on the scout role, I assume. No, Alien's playing demo, and then it's QB Demoul on scouts. Then we've got Brudge and Ron's Soldier Combo Classic, and then Muller on the medic. I think this roster is really strong, and it would probably do really, really well if we just played regular Premiership. I think it should be considered one of the heavy favorites. They've been looking decent so far, haven't met any resistance in their groups. I think this should probably be their first kind of challenge. We'll have to wait and see. What about Sweden, Domato?
The opposition they can offer, it's always good to agree on something, is that Alba and Boulder will be on the complementary scout classes, then Yarn on 1 soldier, and since I need a bingo chart wrapped off, I'll say Grix will be on the secondary soldier, yes. Then Hugie on Demo Man, and Gar filling in the medic role. Some quick history, which will 100% not matter at all, but I want to point it out. Sweden got second place 3 times in Nations Cup, in number 2, number 3, and number 4, and in other words, 2009, 2012, and 2013, which is quite a long time ago, and since then, no real titles and anything to show, while France got the first place in Nations Cup number 5 and 6, okay, medium time away, but second place in Nations Cup number 8 and 9, so basically the last one and the one before that in Nations Cup number 7 was a bronze medal placement for them. We talk about the favorite roles here, especially with the players in the server, but the history also backs this prediction up.
Yeah, I think a lot of, you're just looking across at the player, it just seems like at all the players, right? It seems like they're slightly higher caliber overall on the French side, right? Most of these players have played TF2 at the very, very top. Obviously, Muller won Premiership plenty of times. Brudgman and Rons have kind of been on that cusp forever. QB as well, extraordinarily good player, and then Demoul kind of rounds it out. He's been around for a really long time at this point. I think it's a really solid roster. I think across the board, though, you look at Sweden, got some old heads. Alba has been around for a deceptively long amount of time. Gar as well has kind of existed and sort of, the Div 1-ish, top Div 1 / low Prem Swedish Duplo teams alongside Grix. And then, crucially, for a very long time, alongside Boulder as well, who was kind of crowned as the future inheritor of the best scout in Europe after Thomas kind of stepped back a little bit. We'll have to see. He has a history in the past, right, this Boulder guy, of just being absolutely mental and being able to carry his teams to victory. I think we're looking for him once again to really step up here.
When he started his career, maybe he was bold, then he tried his very best and he got bolder, and he hasn't even reached his final form yet. I swear I'm, by the way, not a nerd for numbers. Into double overtime, never mind, and don't worry. I will introduce the storylines. you probably watched all the matches because you're cautious enough for that. I'm talking to our esteemed viewer and maybe later YouTube crowd. France were put into Group B and did not lose a single point, which is mostly, I'd say, credited to the fact they only played 2 games so far. In week 1, they destroyed Norway 6-0. Default win versus Portugal in week 2, and week 3 was no game because Scotland dropped from the competition after week 2, and the quarterfinals was a 6-0 sweep against the Czech Republic. While Sweden was a little bit more pressured, we saw a lot of storylines earlier where we pointed out default wins, teams dropping out, but Sweden played almost every game that you could play for. Obviously, they didn't play round of 12 because they were just too good in the group stages. But week 1, 5-1 against Austria, only points they lost all tournament. Week 2, 6-0 versus Ukraine, 6-0 versus Turkey in week 3, and quarterfinal 6-0 versus Hungary. You mentioned it, quite the close game. So especially in the tournaments or in the Nations Cup where you don't have a lot of practice, maybe that gives Sweden this much needed edge since they have, at least nominally, on the player numbers to make up some ground.
We'll have to see, right? I think this will probably be a close fought game. We are starting off here on Bagel. It should be an interesting first map. I think this is one of the newer maps we have in the pool. Obviously, TF2 no map is like really super new, but this is one of the newer ones. And it's a really fast map. I'm kind of very impressed to see, like, it's one of the rare cases that we get a new map in Europe and people actually like playing it, which is really good. I'm interested to see, you're kind of looking at these rosters, right? You're looking at kind of normally, right? You look at this Sweden team, right? And I think one player we haven't really mentioned that much is Hugie. Hugie also very, very good up and coming player, super good. Wonder what he's going to be doing today, because I think he will be off classing a little bit over to the soldier role. I do believe. However,
I don't know, like, I'm mainly in this pregame, which is also distracting my mind. I'm looking at Griggs as well, since you were talking about off-classing. He's on the sniper role constantly and fleeing some crazy mid-air headshots. The problem, honestly, with a sniper here on Bagel, is not that suppressive at all on other maps. So maybe he wants to get his prowess and practice in for later maps, but they have to play Bagel first on. My clear set opinion onto established teams and players is, doesn't really matter the map. You play that once or twice, and since you played the game for so long, you adapt so fast and it doesn't really bother you.
Yeah, I think especially for these guys, right? I think all of these guys have played together a lot at this point. You look at this French team, and even though maybe there's never really been a French team, perfectly consisting of these 6 players, right? You're still kind of ultimately, they'll have played together before in some combination, like through just French mixes and stuff that happen all the time. They all know each other as well. But we are currently, just to give you guys a little bit of an update, we are 11 out of 12 on the server, just waiting for a stray Demoul, stray Smoke to show up to the server.
Who is fake nicking currently as Baguette Patrouille. So I guess if you want, you just close your eyes and think, what are we naming our last player on France to fill in all the cliches? You basically have that. But, fake nicking is a minor warning they have not said yet, so maybe that's the next one for them. But honestly, you kind of dodged the prediction. I want you to get chastised. What's your prediction for the scoreboard on this very first map? I'm going to not take a too deep guess and say it's a 3-1 at least for France.
Yeah, I think we're looking either a 3-1 or a 3-0, honestly, for France here on this first map. I think especially a map like Bagel, right? You're looking at kind of team synergy more than anything else, an ability to play off demo damage and soldier bombs, and kind of having that snap instant sort of coordination. What you'll find in the soldier combo of Brunch and Rons is that this is a very established duo. Managed to get super far before, obviously at Poland as well. They managed to get all the way to second place. Super strong gameplay from both of them. They play together super well. The demo like Alien they worked with before. I think this is it probably will not be too reflective of the rest of the season. We'll have to wait and see, just to be absolutely certain, but I do believe that this should be a French victory. Probably, you know what, you said 3-1. I'm going to say 3-0. As much as it goes through against every bone in my body to predict a French victory, we'll have to allow it for now.
We are so gracious. They're not all that gracious since they're waiting in age, and we thought that they would go live quite soon, but there you have it. They're on the server at least now, though. Maybe looking at the Swedish roster, I want to highlight players that could be the difference makers. You called out Yuji not being a dark horse per se, but definitely one that maybe is a bit of a gray factor. Maybe that's the best way to describe it. If he goes huge even, then I think they probably have a pretty good shot at it. Alba and Boulder, looking at them, probably just playing quite passive, honestly, around their players to shut down this Brugeman and Ron's Dominion, which is sort of what I'm expecting. But all those guessworks are really inconsequential. We have to see how those concrete players play against each other once they're ready up. In any case, we're going live right here, so we don't have to guess anymore. So red side occupied by French people, and then blue is occupied by the Swedish. So take us away on this very first mid fight.
Alright, well here we go, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, guys, gals, non-binary pals, we are back on to the first mid. Already we see quite aggressive positioning here from the Swedish side. Not really willing to push the agenda any further right now. See Brudgeman taking control of house just for now. No team really willing to walk in at all. Very far back spam from both sides. As Gar dropping down just slightly low. The Mueller's spam is coming across. But that's Brudgeman forced to bomb back, and so is Ron's. The bombs don't really do anything. Just have to jump away, and this is opening, at least initially, for the Swedish players to be able to go in, I say. But as Ron's on the flank, they're able to find a kill onto Grix, and I think that completely breaks the flank of the Swedish side, allowing Ron to get in further. Hugie really, really low, but he falls for now. Point captured for the French side. This is a very slow game so far.
Cautious gameplay by the French soldiers that you'd expect from having so much experience. The real first interesting and crucial damage that went onto the Swedish combo was a clear rocket into border. We have an Uber exchange right now. It is better on paper for the French since they don't have that much ground to recover, since Swedes have to walk the hell out of there, don't get a single frag. Still in this round, they haven't even found a single frag, and they're getting crushed upon on their own side, but they do keep that point, don't lose any players.
Now it's Sweden moving up very aggressively onto the point here, and that just opens up. The bombs come in from Brudgeman and Runs, managing to clean up one, but it is Sweden managing to respond in kind, trying desperately to get in onto Mueller, who manages to live. Gar falls in that exchange, and that now gives Mueller ginormous advantage here. See, France are playing a bit back. Gar, Hugie rather, has to set up a bit of a trap here, but now Brudge is going to go in on Hugie. Just shoot one rocket, he can get right back out of there. This is big advantage for the French side now.
But they don't have yet, so there is maybe contestation available if they counted their cards right. 90% onto Mula, and a lot of cap time coming out. Bold was bolder as ever and going to chase Mula. Didn't get the final frag, but only 2 meat shots that were onto the opposing. Demo, never mind, they dropped their scout. QB not part of this Uber anymore. The cap flipped in the favor of the French team. Hugie falling to a bold, quarrelsome quarrel by the sake of Mula firing his crossbow, and it is open for the grabs for the Swedes right now. Big Uber advantage, Hugie lacking though, which is sort of a weakening to this oncoming and trying to recap this point.
That's kind of a disastrous Uber push there for the French side. Dropping QB in that Uber is so bad for them. Now Gar, 94% is actually Sweden. They managed to take control point before we even begin here. Big damage across on both red soldiers. Runs is in behind, but super weak. Not sure how much he'll be able to do, I say. He can just pop in and kill the medic.
You don't need a lot of health, I guess, if no one is really watching you. First drop of the game, we maybe weren't monitoring it all that much, or at least for the Swedes that was not on the screen. I don't know if the soldier was not called out, but Mueller gets shot apart by those Swedish scouts. It was bold as ever before, but this time around Alba turns into white noise for Mueller's side, and they're going to delay it a little bit on the French squadron to have Mueller respawn. Still 30% advantage for Gar, and still a decent amount of cap time for both of those teams.
Yeah, I mean, cap times are very even so far, right? You can see both teams kind of arriving to mid once again at the same point. It is a slight advantage here for Gar, but he does drop down about half HP already from spam. Have to be so careful as a medic here as well. See, Alien has to back off a bit from the aggression for now. Runs as well, forced to walk out of that house. Yawn Trying to peek it as well, we'll have to see. Not too healthy before Brudgeman. He is going to see that bomb right now. Back off it once again. We are just kind of spamming around on the point. Mula, 95%. Both teams should be getting this, and we'll be rolling right into another sort of even uber tension-filled stalemate. It is just going to solo onto Boulder here. He is going to come barreling forwards as actually Mula forced to flash quite a few players in this solo for the Swedes. Ends up working in their favor. Now QB caught out on point from stickies from QG, and this is meaning there's so much damage on the French side. Alba kind of low, and it is picked up by Brudgeman, but look how far back the French side is. Just Jamul walking forwards. The bomb has to come in, has to be big. Runs going in, big rockets here, taking down the demo. But for now, Sweden are managing to reply.
So weak. Swedes are winning this. Let's recap the first last 20 seconds. Swedes capping for absolutely free. Mula, therefore, though, equalized things greatly on his first and early disadvantage. But afterwards, taking so much damage, was perpetually and gradually shot so very weak. French squadron forced to be passive, and now the Swedes have the time advantage here, and it is Equal Uber Scar still being shot at from a million distance away, and they try to claim that point. Sweden snucking away with like 30 seconds in their favor, but they have to be quick here to convert this into a next Uber exchange.
Have to see what comes out this time. Last time around, right? The Uber exchange was such a big favor for the Swedish side. Once again now, it's a solo coming into Boulder, and they manage to just pick up Brudgeman right away. Alien's so low in that exchange, that means that Demul is going to fall on the flank to the side. Rick, Sweden are in control of this point. Uber exchange so favorable. Now they have a pick advantage as well. France, they can't go in there. Only 20 seconds left for the Swedish side here.
And Boulder wants to exact way more revenge. Those Swedish scouts are so suppressive. The curtain fire is unleashed by the French soldiers, though with a surgical precision, as Dimur is trying to compete on the top right, but he gets completely sticked out. Also QB very low, not in the fight. Alba falling to Urons. However, Alien gets some juicy pipes forward. Pressure though into the side. They don't find the important players, and Swedish team only has to deal with Brudgeman right here on the point. 1v3, not able to do it. 1-0. That's a statement.
That's already one broadcast prediction right out of the window. Unfortunately, Wandom does not know ball. As Sweden...
And unfortunately, we swap outcasters at a moment's notice.
Yep. Sweden 1-0 for now. Really nicely played, actually. That was hard fought, and they just managed to outmaneuver the French in those Uber exchanges. Manages to get ahead of them now, back onto the mid. Last time, these mids were oh so passive, but this time, look at Alien, so weak already.
And Mula about shot down to half HP inadvertently. This is allowing the Swedes to go aggressive, but they don't want to do it right now. Boulder is assuming this spearhead role, and he's trying to get denied. Never mind. Brudgeman tries to deny the enemy team. Doesn't work. Grix is the first casualty on that mid.
Grix does fall. Advantage French side for now, but it's a weird situation, right? You're down one player on this kind of cough map of Bagel where you are able to go forward so incredibly fast. But you have to watch out, right? You can see French players, they're trying to step forwards, and unfortunately for France, they just eat so much damage on this point. It's now allowing Boulder to edge onto the point. It's an Uber trade coming in. QB leading the way once again for his team. This time it is Gar forced to flash a lot of his players, and it ends up working out in favor of Mula, whose Uber just drops. But look at the French health. It's just so low, and now a bomb can come in from behind from Bjorn. Does a lot of damage here. Mula ends up falling. Runs super low as well. Nice little rocket onto the Mule. Ends up living for now, running in through house. Now France, they really want to get their hands on this medic kill, but Gar is so far back here.
Strong double soldier show. You have to buy or sell both of the soldiers for a Mula pick, however. That's the high quality of that medic. One soldier is not enough. It is only 40% advantage for Gar, however, and they backed out a little bit since QB or even Dimol was rushing through the red house. The iron grip did not work out, however. French team is going to capture this point right now. Still Uber advantage. I'm not sure if they're aware of it. They should be, though, in decent health to convert this instantly into the enemy team.
Have to see what happens here. It is a soldier trade on the flank as Yorn ends up falling down to his own rocket. There was a soldier bomb coming in right now. It's just an Uber coming straight forward here from Sweden, only managing to kill Alien. Runs, falls on the flank as well, but look at them all. And Brudgeman there. Such advanced positioning on to Gar, managing to stay alive, but the Uber advantage now. Mula successfully staving off the storm. France are looking to come right back in.
Did Brudgeman really need to do that? It was sort of huge wave that got turned into a little squall, a little hiccup only, and that means 3 players were killed in the pursuit not only of happiness but trying to kite this Uber. Müller now with 50% advantage and leaping forward with a QB Alien. They're ready to pounce here onto a scout, but Boulder has this red long ago with his team and they only get Griggs.
Yeah, it's a solemn Uber on to Griggs. Alba does fall in the crossfire as well. This is a very aggressive Demul here, wanting to go in, but he is just going to meet the entirety of the enemy Swedish team there. As he walks forward, just make sure where they are. You can see now France doing a bit of a forward hold here across this side, looking to get off a force onto Gar as early as possible. He does have 50 out here, so they're walking forwards. Uber comes straight in onto Hugie, who uses the flash to get right onto the point, and now the French soldiers, they're backing off. Sweden have found absolutely nothing with the supercharge, and this time around, you look at the timer, it's a much more on the side favorable for the French side. Bombs are coming in. Gonna have to get in onto Müller. One nice rocket from Griggs, but unfortunately not finding the second one. And this is France now, 90% Uber, ready to respond.
France are turning the screws and getting the dominion on the point. Still, this 100% advantage needs to find the fruits, or are they going to take this cap without any opposition? Still keep that Uber alive. Maybe we see a suicidal wave. Müller was about half HP. Cap time coming out by Boulder, but strong Uber might come in soon. Never mind, QB doesn't really find the players here since Gas chase into spawn though.
Oh, can he make it out alive? The pistol comes out. QB unfortunately doesn't quite find the pistol in the end. In the meantime, Griggs is just in onto the enemy team. Yawn does so much work. Now France is crumbling. Sweden can get onto this point for absolutely free. Gar has another Uber just to work with as soon as they get this cap.
This might have been the neuralgic point right there. The win, Rons comes in, forces the Uber. He took a second rocket in the face, would have most likely dropped. On the side of Gar, they find Roachman as well. Boulder on a 6k alongside the able help of Gar. They are assuming a forward hold now.
Now, sitting in the forward hold, once again, the objective is clear, right? You really need to get this force out of Müller as fast as you can. It's sitting 80% now, opting to go through this right side area instead, close to house. They're going in, being pelted by a tiny amount of spam, but it's not too bad. Müller now 100%. This Uber's probably going to come in any second now, but there's a lot of spam to be had here on this choke point of the middle. See how they break it. They get the capture point for now. 10 seconds in their favor is the timer, but Gar dropping so low to spam, and now with the French side having the cap, they're content to sit back. They don't need to use this Uber to get forwards. Instead, it's Sweden who have to push on this Uber disad to try and stay in this round. You can't really let this tick down any further. Instead, they just overextend forwards as an Uber onto QB, who only manages to find Hugie, and this now, once again, Uber advantage Gar, but this time the Uber has to be successful.
QB didn't push into spawn, he learned his lesson. Alba is falling at the advent of that fight. Griggs finds a double kill with one rocket onto Brugman, onto Demul, and then Rons is completely culled. They don't even need to use their Uber. No one is in position to force this Uber, and they are looking right now suddenly into a decent stat. Full 100%, still 40% advantage for the Swedish squadron. Brugman falling, those segmented spawn waves will bite them in the back if they don't watch their angles, break them rather, and Demul juggled in the air, Griggs falling, but it is only really ticking for the Swedish side. They have to opt out of the forward hold for now.
Crucial for this fight is that they cannot ever let French seize control of this point. They would just win the round outright. 17 seconds left on the timer so far. Uber trade does come out, not really finding anything. The post-Uber positioning, not that good for the French side. It's Alien super low, means he cannot participate in this fight now. Soldiers are in behind. It's Ron and Brugman have to do so much work here, and Brugman unfortunately drops so low. The Demul down as well. One trade kill onto Alba. Griggs falling as well. Now the French side, they're huddled up around behind this point, trying to get some cap chime in, but at Yawn, just with high ground control, decent rocket onto Rons, who tries to solo this on his lonesome on a 4K, but now the health is not there. Just Boulder now, the Crown Prince on his own, has to take down 4. Gar bombed in, and Boulder unfortunately not hitting the shots. I think this could be a round on the board for the French.
What a hard-fought tie that was. They were not letting go. You have to keep in mind that Sweden was put on the back foot in the first half of this round, and basically, Boulder had to get a 4-3k at the end since faster spawns for a French team that did not cap that point. It shifted, the winning conditions shifted and got more tactical. Those Ubers were leapfrogging in a way where one team has an Uber advantage, chases all the way, but is not able to find the enemy medic, while in contrast, the soldiers leap forward and more fire around those ancillary players. For example, the scouts, even though that is a hard counter. I'm talking since no one has died yet. Müller is so weak.
Nice spam coming across from the Swedish side. And it is Jorn looking to just go in and capitalize straight away. Finding the kill onto Müller. They lose 3-4. Gar is dead as well. So it's actually not that good for the Swedish side. They don't have much positioning, but Demul, once again, a little bit on his lonesome. Nice little sticky there from QG, finding him. And now QB finds himself in no man's land. The cap goes over to the Swedish side. And I think that might just work out in the favor of the French players, as now they have respawned much sooner than the Swedish side, and they have regained control of mid. Bomb coming in from Jorn, but I think this should be a bit of a delay for now, maybe, perhaps?
Not saying that my prediction is still on the table, but the first mid-fight win goes the way of France as the pipes are coming in. I wanted to point out earlier, Hugie was really the prominent factor that needed to pull on this last round. He couldn't really do it as the game got sealed out, and Rons is jumping behind, draws a lot of ice. A double scout is not able to chase him, and Jan and Griggs are patrolling the behind area, which enables so much space for France consequently to come in gradually. Rons is falling, trades with Jan, long nap for him, and they try to exact revenge once more. Boulder on that point, but the Uber is coming up.
Uber is traded across both sides. No one really finding that much positioning. We're just kind of solidifying onto either side of the point. Brudgeman has to get healed up because he is dropped quite low. But look at the health bars. Boulder drops down low here as well. Brudgeman wants to bomb in. Now counter aggression comes out. Grix is just straight in onto Müller. Finds that kill. Jorn as well. Gonna be trading his life for now. Secondary kill onto Rons. Brudgeman in behind so far. They really want to get onto Gar here. Hugie a bit disconnected from the rest of his team, and that should just be a demo frag, but he's baiting forward through his scouts so nicely. Rest of France falling, and they don't even get control of the middle point here. And it's just Sweden instead. Now, of course, they have the point cap, which means that they will not have a demo for this coming fight, but this is a big 50 advantage here for Gar.
The Suicide wave stepped in 1 or 2 seconds apart from each other, and it was completely dealt with by the double Swedish scout, which are great with the positioning and the DM. They let France cap 4 absolutely free, and Gar explodes into a bunch of bloody bits. 3 players it takes to kill the enemy medic, and they get a lot of cap time. We delayed a little bit for Gar to spawn and still remain in the lead time-wise. I want to also point out that it is easy to get swept up in the cost, but the Swedish are trying to opt for a new strat. Before it was really difficult since they always had to play against an Uber disadvantage in that cost in that second round, and now then this repeating Dia show being on Uber disadvantage.
Now they have to figure out a way, try and get this Uber out right now. You can see Jorn bombing in and trying to create some kind of distraction for Müller, but he just gets the Uber. Now Gar falling in the meantime from Brudge, and behind Gar, Hugie, Boulder, all of them falling here. Alien with nice little sticky traps. Yes, it is advantage for them at the moment. Time-wise, Müller just falls in the end with a crazy bomb and the sack in from Alba, just saving their team barely at the end.
It is the unspoken curse of the caster as Gar exploded once more again. For me, it felt in the first 2.5 rounds, since we're in the 3rd round right now, that Müller was dying more than Gar. Gar was keeping his life, and since he had a faster spawn, he has around 15% advantage. Might not even matter if Müller heals optimally here. They have the grabs on that point. The initiative for the Swedes has to come out quickly, as Jan is perpetually a shot weak, can't really initiate. Furthermore, it is difficult for them to find a venue. Half of the point is kept, but it is not really an opening that is presenting itself.
Yeah, at the moment right now, both teams sitting around 80%, but it's Sweden losing 3 of their players. Make that 4, potentially 5, just before the fight even breaks out.
And Gar's going to get
Gar's alone. He needs a scout to link up with him to try and get back to spawn. He barely makes it. But this is big advantage for the French side now. They get control for absolutely free of that point. And now it's Sweden. They have to push back out.
It was so very incrementally getting worse for the Swedish side, as those scouts on France, they jumped around the corner, double meat shot onto the soldiers. A piece, Ron still behind, Jan cleaned up by the stickies. 4K for Alien, and Ron's onto Gar here, has to force flung into the sky. Ron's takes that trade any day of the week. Boulder gets 1, Boulder gets 2, but they need to get this force here onto Mula, peppered into the sky. Griggs not finding the second rocket.
Unfortunately for Griggs, they're not finding the second rocket. Now Mula, ginormous advantage. 10 seconds left to take France to map point here, as the secondary sack will come in, and an immediate Uber pop here for Mula. Doesn't want to waste any time. 1 kill onto Jorn, Hugie in the air, taken down by a pipe from Alien, and now there's no Swedish presence on this point whatsoever. It's just gonna run out, and that's another round on the board for the French side, looking to take this 3-1, keeping Tomato's prediction alive. Have to wait and see now. That's a good round for the French side.
I don't need to pat my online shoulder that obviously. I only want to quickly also peer what changed. I was telling you that in the second round, why it was a tie round for the French side, is that the Swedes got caught a little bit more by this oncoming Uber, and they only had to play against this Uber advantage, and that was their bane in that final round that we just saw played out again. Mula having almost over like 70% of the time an Uber advantage, and it is difficult. If you want to force the enemy medic, then you are leaving yourself open to this re-aggression, and we saw it perfectly executed. Almost free cap, well, completely free cap for the French again.
Yep, no one falling so far. Just spam exchange across the board as Jorn. Quite low, but Stickies onto Mula gets him even lower. Ends up falling now. No medics for the side of France. Instead, it's Sweden managing to pop up the Uber of their own, but Gar afterwards immediately traded backwards. Now Mula is going to spawn. Doesn't quite have anyone to heal quite yet. Not the biggest of ads, but Sweden, obviously, they don't really want to cap the point until Jorn has spawned. They don't want to delay it at all, but there we go. Now, point captured for them, but in the meantime, France managing to get that cap at the beginning of the mid, managed to run down that time for 30 seconds for absolutely free there.
Gar safely switching back to Medigun. There was a spontaneous combustion of Mula. Was not predicting that crits. We were keeping you obviously in the blind. We were so aware, but the surprise factor was even stronger when you see a crit sticky fizzling toward you. 10% Uber disadvantage on the side of Gar, and this Uber fight is not really into play, but the mid fight is further on commencing. Rons is one pick, Jan is another. Bruchman, though, falling in pursuit of Gar, who went down to around 15 HP. Boulder, bold as ever, has to fight this point. Griggs trying to assemble some sort of order back into it, and they're fighting with a few resources they still have available. There comes the Uber now.
Uber's going to come in again, 99%, just barely get the Uber off in time before they manage to get that frag. However, they lose Hugie, right? Not quite having Uber as soon as the French side did. Brudgman does go down, but look at the Swedish positioning here. They don't have that much to work with. It's Griggs might be able to find a trade kill onto Runs. They've managed to take down each other as a cap does go through for the Sweden side, but no further frags found for now. It's spam coming across here, but time running down in the Swedish favor.
I thought earlier, and I'm probably not the only one, that it was way more of a clear-cut fight, but once more the Swedes are coming back into the game, and maybe that heralds a 2-2 tie, since they are taking the lead here time-wise. 10% Uber advantage only for Müller. Maybe not enough, as both soldiers, the leap in, Bruchman pounces out, survives that onslaught, and Gar grabs the health pack in the midst of all of this action, though. They have to clean up. Ronsu still behind, doesn't find the second rocket, not loaded enough. Also the sticky missing Gar after he picked up the health pack. Yeah, they're trying to re-aggress on this point. Uber exchange.
Uber pop.
Where's Mula?
Ooh. Mula is very far forward here, but you can see the trade kind of happened independently of each other. Neither team looking at the opposing Uber charge. Instead is just both scouts barreling in onto the enemy side. Is a very, very low Demul there. Does get taken down, but look at the health of the Swedish side. Griggs quite low, but a rocket onto Rons shuts him down. And now Sweden, once again, they maintain control of this point. And they're looking to just run down the clock. A minute 15 seconds for them, right? They are down a round. It is not as you see on your screen. It is 2-1 for the French side. However, France now a bit on the back foot this round. It is another frag onto Demul.
they can smell that first victory maybe that is coming closer to the Swedes as they get bombed though. Gar going down to about 80 HP, taking one rocket into his face, but they get the collapse here, they get everyone. Bald nukes through the enemy team with the able help of his soldier and they completely wipe them out. Collapse 100% in the Medigun of Gar. 40 seconds only to tick down. They are so much brimming with life and are sanguine enough to hold this forward ground. Such a fantastic hand.
And we'll have to see, can France do anything to be able to maintain control of this game? It's a very sky-high Brudgeman who just gets shut down. QB as well goes down. The Uber can come forwards and shut down the entirety of the combo there. Now, Sweden, 13 seconds left. These French players are so far away. I think we're going to a 2-2 here in just a second.
Not able to bail out enough. Jan gets a 2k and Alba is on a 4 or 5k. Those scouts are so pivotal into shutting down those soldiers. Brugman again falling. First pick also. Griggs not really called at all. Runs falling. Elliot, Müller read the kill feed. Wipe, whiteboard, sponge, wipe once more. It was Sweden wiping before, now it is the Frenchies. 2-2. Close game, euphemism of the day. I'm giving you the key concepts that have shown why we are covering this very game. And Swedish teams were being put on a probation early on, but they're showing that they can better themselves as match point for both of those teams. Crits again, by the way. Crits.
Now 2-2 here, both sides. These middles have been so passive. Both teams opting to sit back. The rocket from Griggs there onto Müller, completely shutting down the hopes of the French side. Now, back onto middle. This time around, Boulder wants to make sure that we know it's his point. Early bomb coming in from Brudgeman, not quite finding any kills, but the follow-up from Rons doing a lot of damage. However, now, no soldiers for France means that Griggs could just bomb onto the point for absolutely free. There's no positioning here, and ultimately, Müller goes down hugely from nowhere, finding 3 kills with the stickies, and this is looking dire for France. Statement play from Hugie.
A few more spontaneous combustions and they're looking into wonderful stat. It surprised them even more. Medigun is picked up by Gar from an exploded Müller. 50% in the Medigun and 40% or 30, that is advantage here. Equal Ubers once more, like in terms of they both have Uber, but like Mediguns. Demul is trying to charge in from the right side, and Brugman and Rons, we saw before, they were not really finding any pick, any consequential damage. They got completely culled. Jan is battling right now, battling Brugman, who is completely alone, but a double rocket takes Griggs and Jan's life. Rons gets what Brugman could not, and the Frenchies are looking to seal off this round, this point. Never mind, Uber.
He becomes in, but this is a decent trade for the French side, right? Müller so far back. You're already down 2 with Rons finding that trade kill onto both the enemy soldiers, and that means now Müller really far back. Doesn't have a demo, but does have 95%. They can actually wait for Alien to spawn, taking this ever so slowly. There's only 1 or 2 sticky jumps for him to rejoin this fight now. Big advantage here. Hugie finding a first opening kill on Brudgeman before this fight even begins rather. For the French side, it's not that good for them. The spam comes forwards. Uber now as well. Both teams going in. It is France trying to barrel in forwards into this lobby area, not finding any frags. Instead, it's Sweden looking to respond. Alien so far forwards. It is going to get taken down now. Demoman for the side of France means that, unfortunately, they're going to have to back off. Point still in their capture, but Boulder taken down as well. Hugie falling. I think they've managed to reply.
Yeah, post-fight favoring the French team so heavily. France taking down Gar. Müller is found in this skirmish on the side,
God.
however.
Griggs.
So
absolute beast.
Yeah, Griggs also toggling on a little bit, being a bit ferocious after the call came in that his own medic perished. Still, time advantage for Sweden, but what we saw was Alien sort of runs this once more in behind, by the way. That could be the pincer movement. He's in the air, going to get absolutely shot apart.
Fortunately for Rons, that doesn't quite manage to make the flank play work. Instead, we're even Ubers here. Alba is 3 HP for the moment. Means low scouts means that Sweden can't really go forwards here. Instead, are looking to just kind of run across the point, spam. So far this game, it feels like it just has been in the Swedish favor here. French players unable to respond in kind. The Franz and Brudgman counterplay hasn't been able to find much, and it's once again the flank busted down by Albo and Boulder. Now Run's falling as well. The fight hasn't even begun before it's over. 4 players falling. Yes, Müller will get the Uber advantage, but it's such a much higher mountain to climb now for the French side if they want to go in, if they want to take this first map victory.
Not impossible opportunity and decision to climb that steep mountain that is presented to them, but is still a steep mountain. Equal Ubers forward hold for the Swedes, and they're going to get shot at. You already know that Gar has a longer Uber, as he only has to flash once or twice, but they use that Uber obviously to safely back out. No casualties on either team, notwithstanding the fact that the French have to step onto that point hitherto. A lot of cap time coming in, but once more, really passively played by the Swedish team since they own the point.
Sweden in control of the point for now, not in control of the Uber advantage, just slightly in the favor of Müller. Both teams trading a single player as Demul gets traded for Grix. Grix will spawn just slightly before, right, because that point is in the French capture side. Now, 20% advantage for Müller. Have to play for it. Look at Sweden aggressing this quite well, managing to edge the point, but look at the health bars now. There's a soldier in behind as well, can pelt down damage onto Hugie. They have to respond to this guy who's in behind, and once again, Grix falls with a trade kill. Müller has 100% from France. They need to manage to make this stick. They are down with 30 seconds here, and the Uber's going to come across. Hugie is just not in this fight.
It is the same scenario. Those Ubers are not meeting each other now. They're going all the way into the enemy team, and neither of those teams found any deliverance as the cap gets capped, which is obvious. But for the Swedish team, and Müller has been on the beach, you can tell. He was surfing out Grig's rockets. He was not having any of that. And Chai Bomb comes in right now, drawing some ice to that from Jan, but Brugman, contrary to that, chases down Gar. Really difficult for the Swedes to turn around this fight. The only advantage I can offer for them, they only have 5 seconds or maybe even overtime to tick down. Griggs is onto Müller. Can he find the shot? He does not find it. 80% advantage for him, and they wait for one last spawner.
Consolation prize here for Sweden is that it is not over yet. The French have delayed for so long getting this capture point, meaning that they're already up. Still 40 seconds, not enough time to build up an Uber, but it is enough time for Gar to build up this crit streak. 50% already. It's won them a couple mid-fights. They're trying to stream out in through lower here, but unfortunately, players not able to find much of anything. Uber is forced from Müller, however. Grix going to be up in 5 seconds, and they're going to be able to take this in 20 seconds left here for the French side. You can see them how far forwards they're playing. The crits are going to come up to Hugie. He's going to set them forward, and he's just not going to find anything. Only a singular piper onto Brudgman. The rest of France backing off into house, and they're just doing so fine. No demo man for Sweden means it's so hard for them to get in. No Uber or Müller is the only savior here. It's trading across Jorn for Demul, and we're trying to get across. No damage so far as QB just holding steadfast onto this point right now. Boulder needs to get healed up, but they're trying to find any sort of players that you get the demo man kill for the French side. They need to find the kill. They want to hold off for the Uber. QB has to do this on his own because Alba's doing so much work. There's a bow kill for Müller, a second one onto Hugie, but he cannot making a fourth, and Sweden come from nowhere and take map number 1.
Jesus. This focus fire was absolutely sublime. You pointed it out. You don't have a demo man going against the enemy team who has a demo man, who has decent players up into decent positions and the heals dished out. But what we saw was all the players pulling their weight. There was the Swedish soldier pair trying to opt well, slip into that role of their missing demo man and being so aggressive with the curtain fire, firing all this damage forward. And even though they lost Gar in the pursuit of getting Müller, a lot of consequential damage was coming in. And you also have to keep in mind, they basically lost almost everyone. Only Balder and a secondary soldier was on that point, but you only need to cap. You don't need to win that team fight at all, since the French were winning the team fight, but they just need to get the cap. And 3-2 in a nail-bitingly close fashion, and completely going to screw our predictions off the charts. We were predicting a French victory. It is 3-2 in the favor of Sweden.
Good stuff out of them. That was a very close game the entire way through. As I do believe maybe we'll be able to at some point find some logs as I do dig them up here for you right now. I mean, okay, DeMeo, I don't think it's
You don't think?
too
Okay,
surprising.
well, if you don't think, okay, what?
I want you to give me right now. You're not allowed to cheat. Give me a Boulder KD prediction.
Whew. Yeah, I mean, I did not look anything up. I have to queue in the Twitch chat. I don't have a secondary monitor, so I have to look them up on my mobile phone, the logs, so I did not do that. I'm predicting maybe 2.5. Seems reasonable for me.
Yeah, my man's, he did go 36.49, which gives him a KD of 4.
Jesus.
And to top it off, he was 1 DPM away from hitting the almighty 420 DPM at 419 damage a minute. This guy was absolutely rolling. I think we're just seeing it. We sort of, the difference maker we saw between these two teams, right, just ended up being that spam. Across the board, damage for both teams super, super high, which is what you get when you have these kind of games where both teams are just trying to out-spam each other. And that means that now we're going on to Sunshine here, right, Tomato? But that game is so close. I feel like if you're France, you're walking into this, right? You're expecting to win. Most of the players on these teams have played Premiership finals before.
And those same players have just lost Bagel. It is one of the surprise factors that it's difficult sometimes to factor in for everyone who wants to read logs or hear them be read out loud. I only want to quickly peek onto medic stats. Only important one for me, maybe aside from a 4-0 KD for Boulder. One drop onto Gar, a little bit more heals per minute. Müller not dropping once, but has 2 more deaths, 12 deaths onto him, 10 deaths onto Gar. On a 31-minute and 39-second game, I think that's acceptable. Especially considering that it is Bagel and there are a lot of people flying in. I only wanted to quickly recap that I thought that, which is what I nudged a bit upon as the game progressed, the winning conditions shifted. Early on, it was mostly the soldiers of the French finding the damage as they jumped in and, just pressured the enemy scouts so much. But Boulder and Alba, and even Alba, we were talking about Boulder, but also Alba, they were just keeping their own. They were completely tearing apart those soldiers. And in the last few rounds, those soldiers basically found nothing. They got the damage, but they got completely torn apart. And that was mostly won the French or lost the French that round, won the Swedish team that round. Also 2 cheeky crits or 3, I think even, that was perfectly executed. Anyway, enough babbling about past events. We're on to Sunshine, which is a perfect map for a summer cup, I'd say. Do you think that the momentum is still favoring the Swedish, or do the French have a better shot here? I mean, they had a great shot here, but do you think they will win it?
I think this is, now from what we saw in the last game, right, this is going to be really, really close. Sunshine is a map, more than anything else, it is dictated by your ability to push the last point successfully. Even with Uber advantages, the amount of, in all my years at this point, coming up on 4 to 5 years of casting TF2, which is responded to with an aware emote in the Twitch chat, I have seen so many just buffed up or just completely failed Uber advantage last pushes on Sunshine Last. And I think that's kind of the distinguisher of these two teams, right? Is which team will, because both these teams, I think we can conclude now, will find themselves with advantages, able to push them into last. The question is, are you able to successfully push them into last? Are you able to get those round conversions? Because it can be so difficult.
And even heading toward that last, sniper off classes will come more into play. We were talking about before, I'm expecting maybe Griggs even to have some cheeky off classes. We did obviously not see a singular one, since Bagel is not all that well suited for it, and the blue side is occupied currently by Swedes, and French have opted for red. I'm a bit, again, leaning toward the prediction that the Frenchies will probably take it. I'm, though, predicting a low scoreline of 2 versus 1. I am also going to take a long shot and say those 3 rounds will probably happen in the first 10 minutes or so, and then it will be a bunker game where everyone is turtling up, and this Sunshine last is easy to turtle up in. You have already a little bit alluded to it. Who are the playmakers for you? Who do you think is going to be the difference maker?
I think we're going to have to put our eyes on Brudgeman and Rons again, right? We're seeing them trying a lot of things on Bagel, right? Really trying to get in behind, make stuff work. Unfortunately for them, not quite able to follow up on those aggressive bombs, not able to quite find the picks that I think we're kind of used to seeing. This mid, once again, on Sunshine, opens up such a nice opportunities for Soldiers to have these well-coordinated bombs. I think it's something that we've seen, especially, you sort of look at the dominant teams of Europe here for the last few seasons. It's something that Pappy and Salentes do so well. I'd expect Brudgeman and Rons to be able to kind of coordinate these bombs, make it work, and sort of come out on top, which could be the difference maker, right? In a map that will probably be defined, we're expecting, after map number 1, by inches. I think we still should see, we should be seeing, right, that the French come out on top, especially on the mids, and then probably as well just having the experience of pushing in onto the last. However, now Dometo, first map was so very close on Bagel, but now we're on to Sunshine here. Map number 2 is the Frenchies looking to reply as they're down 1 map.
And we are entering this very first mid-fight. Also, the mental exercise you have to practice, and you have to ask yourself, are Rons and Brudgeman not finding success in the earlier map because they sort of were only 1 or 2 rockets off, or was it the Swedes playing well? I'm definitely going to opt for the second choice, as no picks as of yet, and Gar is alongside with Yuji in front of their own cafe. Rons once more not finding anyone. It's like they are reading our minds. Brudgeman gets torn apart mid-air. Griggs is only one to fall, and once more ascendancy for the Swedish team. They have the blue color, they're only missing their yellow cross, but what crosses their mind is this very first mid-fight is ours.
There's 4 now, however they are down about 20% Ubers here, so you can see now even Uber stalemate here on Sunshine. Sweden looking to kind of aggress in through Cafe. Decent damage early on onto Muller, wanting to get this force because it's just Alba in behind from somewhere. And he gets that force onto Muller. Now the trade can come out onto Boulder. No kills really found so far. Only 1 frag onto Alien. Swedes looking to run it in through low as they find another frag onto Demul, but they have to stop it for now. Just take control of second instead. And the situation should be equalized for now.
Now you know why it's called dungeon, because Demul was incarcerated into the respawn queue since he was trying to fight in the dungeon area against a double soldier pair, but eventually it concludes into equal Ubers as Jan leaps in onto Muller. He has a surf though, he gets the second rocket, doesn't find the third as Muller goes down to about 10 HP. Gar somewhere completely gets blown apart.
Huge rockets there from Rons, hitting that skip jump, getting in onto lobby. Just 2 clean rockets onto Gar. He even tried to surf it up a little bit, as much as you can there on that staircase in lobby. Fortunately, just not enough. Rons just does him one better. That is a medic down. And a big opportunity here for France to come across. Yes, they have a big advantage, but there's also just no medic for the Swedish side for so long, which means that now early kill onto Griggs as he tries to get cheeky. Doesn't quite find anything, but look at Alba running in behind. I think he has been spotted. He's going for the Hail Mary back cap. Just has to draw back players here instead. 3 go back for him. 1 traded across. And this is also fine for Sweden. Now, decent damage onto QB, but I think Sweden now should be looking to run away once again.
They're going to get hell hunted out of the flower or green area, as some people call it, and it is only a 25% advantage for Muller. It has equalized and been compromised by the huge run behind by Jan. Muller also down so weak, 40 HP. He can't really dish out the heals aggressively as this ongoing fight commences, but as it continues, he ticks up a little bit more on the health numbers, and that helps his team to get them up to full fitness. 3 minutes have expired, no team has kept the last point, and both Ubers are equal.
Ubers are equal, neither team at this point really willing to push the objective all that much, as Sweden's just going to sit back, wait for some kind of play to come out of the French side. The ball very much in the French court so far. Right now, at this very moment, it is still just spam coming out across the board. Neither team really going in. I'm surprised there's no soldiers really sacking in very forward, but it is just Brudgeman dropping down all the way to 50 HP here. Nice little counter bomb from Griggs. Gonna have to watch his own life. Decent spam actually onto Boulder. Drops down quite low. Bronze in Valley as well, but as Alba shot down there by Demul, and that's an opening frag here for the French side as they're going to come forward. Another kill onto Grix, and this is Sweden. They're not able to hold on to second anymore, have to run away. Hugie getting chased in lower, has to be so careful. Just barely manages to survive, but that are 2 frags coming out for the French spam, and that's really nice from them.
Hugie gets out with a sword intact, so he completely sorted out the enemy team and runs. Perpetually being shot weak. Even though the French side got a double pick, it was not at all really free for them, as these players that are still alive on the Swedes offer so much protection for this point, but it forces the Uber. They all have a Hail Mary play once more onto that point, and it did force Gar 100% onto Mula, but this ongoing trend could be that the players take that second point, chase the remaining Frenchies out of the second. So even though you have a 75% advantage, you have to be faster to convert it.
Really nice idea for the French team to push super fast before the sentry gun really has time to get properly built. Sweden respond in kind, making sure to try and give themselves a little bit of a buffer zone here. Gar does have 65%. Boulder up on the sniper here, has a singular shot to try and find something, make something happen. Unfortunately, the Demo Man is a bit invincible going in. Sentry gun from Alba shot down once again, and the point is about half captured. Now, 2 big frags from Rons and Brudgman, just getting the kills of the Grix and Yorn, and that is no other Swedish members anywhere remotely close to the point. As France respond, they manage to play out the ad, and they get the first round on the board.
Clinical Uber push, honestly. Also, 89% on Gar as that round concluded. He was not healing optimally, he was searching for a player for 1 or 2 seconds, but even if he were to get that Uber and build up the remaining 11%, you already lost 4, and that's easily a win for the Red Squadron. But furthermore, I want to have your eyes peeled to the symmetrical play of both of those teams. They are opting for each other's and their opponents' cafes as they rotate here clockwise. No pick as of yet. Hugie is trying to control the clock tower. Brugman shot perpetually back, and Boulder is controlling this much needed space now. But Mula and company are in the Swedish cafe, and the Swedes have clamped the ground. Ron's not really getting anything.
This is now a really bad situation for the French side, right? Yorn is going to come up spawning soon into even Ubers, right? But you have such players so far back. Look at Mula's HP. He's 98. He doesn't have...
He lost everyone.
Oh no! Tomato! He's 99% and he just has the kill bind. It's a ginormous advantage for Sweden and an absolute disaster for France.
Now we know why you are called Van, because the Doom that was beforehand is right now into Mula's hands. That was so funny. It was almost as we had a secondary mid-fight where the Frenchies then pushed from the Swedish choke, and 99% as close as that can get. Uber is going to come in now. They find some momentum onto that point, but the frags not coming in early, but they come in now. And this huge grip with a lot of cap time is going to hand them this tie round. Somehow, I wanted to say they play so symmetrical. Before we see one soldier bombing the enemy medic to force them, don't find success, and while that is ongoing, the enemy soldier is bombing the enemy medic and they find success, and one player dies, and on the opposite team another player dies. It's always so symmetrical, and again, so ferocious. Swedes after losing 1 round, and it's a tie.
Back on mid we go, and this time immediate bomb from Brudgman goes in. Does a lot of damage to all of Sweden, but unfortunately they just don't find any kills on the French side. Runs in behind trying to make something of himself, but unfortunately no one really able to follow up at all, and that is 3 players going down. Sweden very fast mid victory, getting that super early frag onto Alien, just shuts down the aggression completely.
When have we been spiked, or are we just really bad players? Casters predictions, like the Swedish team is once more in the ascendancy. They're so strong, like the French is completely caught off guard on that mid again, losing their soldiers. They were not able to have any safe space to land into. They basically take all the damage, but Mula is reading this suicidal wave of Grix and Yarn so long ago. No one is going to lay a single hand on him. Rons is one casualty, but the stickies on the shutter present some opportunity to shutter if you don't watch set stickies on set shutter, but it only secures the Frenchies not pushing out.
For all of our viewers joining us from Kritzcast, welcome, welcome. This is a very close game between Switzerland, oh, not Switzerland, rather Sweden, very sorry. Sweden and France. As commiserations to the Germans, who, from what I managed to the glimpses I managed to catch, got absolutely rolled by England, who have now made it all the way to the finals. So winner of this game will be meeting England in the grand finals of the Nations Cup later tonight. We still have this game going on. It's very close. Sweden managing to take map number 1 this time as well, finding themselves foot forward here on the last headshot from Alba onto Brudgman, opening up for further picks here. I don't think the initial kill from the sniper does too much other than let you go for sort of further hero shots, right? To trying to break this last.
The first of class, not only of this map, but of this very game, as Alba is assuming a sniper role and gets that insta-kill mechanic. He's peeking through the dungeon area. Can he incarcerate anyone? No one is going to be his jailed victim. And Rons tries to counter-seg a little bit and assume a role of defending space on the right side, but he's ultimately going to get cleaned up. Griggs is the counter frag to fall in their disfavor. Alba perpetually being shot weak and gradually. That means the Swedes are backing out again.
Sweden backing up for now. Uber's still even. Alba finding another shot, and this is the nice thing about the sniper, right? You can just keep him up. Eventually he can and will hit something. Now Rons, however, huge, really clean a bomb back, responding to the sniper. However, sentry gun does get spammed down, and that means the soldier bomb comes right in, getting that kill onto Brudgman. Yon and Griggs both trading their lives for that Uber charge, popping out of a Mula, and this is really nice for Gar. Now, both soldiers down means France can re-aggress, but they have to get this Uber fast. They cannot lose too many players either. They're trying to get control of second, but look at Sweden. They want to reply instantly.
Griggs didn't even need to be part of this suicide wave, but no way of knowing that beforehand. Wonderful skip jump from Jan. Scarce Mula enough, would have 100% dropped if he didn't pop. Limited them to 50% on the Uber stakes advantage push from Sweden that is coming in right now. The technical warden of the sentry gun is going to get turned into scrap and bolts. Runs falling, they don't get any cap time. The stickies are still presenting a sticky situation for the offensive team. Alba is one that falls, and if you don't get enough damage, enough cap time, then the defending team will just heal up and have a resupply locker very readily available to them.
Yeah, that is unfortunate for Sweden, unable to deal with that heavy successfully now. Big advantage to Mula, right? The timer for the round is running down, only about 1 minute and 30. France are opting to push out here, not wanting to go back, but look at the spam there coming out of Hugie onto Mula, making it really difficult for him to come forward. Soldier bombs as well, just completely force out this Uber on France. And now Alba, once again, huge heads up play, finding the kill onto QB towards the end as well. And this fight has just not gone very well for France. Yes, they have 2 pick advantages here, but Gar, 90% with an Uber charge of his own, a kill to work with, and Sweden are looking to go right back in here.
They want to charge through and pounce from that flower area, but they are spotted for the moment. Can take some time, maybe to regroup their resources and push through that choke. It is a chock full of blue players. Alien going to get caught into transition, and lost in translation might be the word of choice, as 30% advantage is still for Gar and his team. If they're fast to convert this into last, Mula might not catch up in time. Also, 1 pick advantage might be enough. A lot of cap time coming in. The sentry has a blind spot, and Mula is going to get caught completely 90%. He's not going to build the remaining Uber up enough. Brudgman is exploding. Rons is not long for this world, and QB obliterated in the sky. 2-1. Sweden, we have the same vocabulary. They are such a force to be reckoned with.
Sweden once again, really nice repush coming in. I feel like Rons tries to go behind, make something happen, ends up stuck in his own cafe as the rest of Sweden push in, giving his team another man down, right? They have to play France with 2 players down in that push because Rons is so late to respond, and that gives Sweden such a nice opportunity to come in, take that round victory now, finding themselves 2-1 up in the lead as Brudgman and Griggs early trading so far. Nice rocket from Griggs. Doesn't end up doing much as the counter bomb does come in from Yorn here, but Brudgman follows up. kill on to Grix in return. It's 3 down now, and it's looking like trades are coming across the board. It's 2 scouts on the point for both sides here, as it's now just a 3v3. Both scouts looking for dominance. Alba with Boulder trying to cement themselves as the dominant forces here on mid. Mula, 20% advantage, and it is going to be able to bully out Sweden just for now.
What a 3 versus a 3. It almost inspires me to present a new game mode like Double Scout Chariot against Double Scout Chariot, which was completely insane. No one did die as they were intermittently changing out their players on the beam. Decently positioned after all, but suddenly France is the underdog once more, or well, for the first time, at least it feels for me, as they have to cook something up there. Down 1-2 and have to really get the gears going. Force maybe Gar in that position, but they don't really find an opening as the cafe fight is commencing. It is in the advantage of Sweden.
Getting those really big frags there onto QB and Brudgeman as well, completely shutting down French aggression. Now with Sunshine, right, being this kind of slower map, you're really happy to take these fights now as well. Another further really late kill onto Rons means that the French side, they don't have that much business being on middle anymore. Not quite a lot of position. Instead, the Uber just has to come out. Gar can milk this for so long. Solo Uber coming in onto Boulder is going to spend up pretty much the entire time trying to take down Demul, as the rest of Sweden not quite able to go in because that flank from Brudgeman followed up by a blow from Mula, and now it's a frag for them. Brudgeman does go down, but there is no Swedish positioning on the middle whatsoever. In France, they managed to hold on.
And such a weak QB after this entire fight concluded. All those fights are never free for either side, is what I wanted to point out earlier. A lot of damage in both of those gears, as Grix is one that falls. Ron's very, very weak on grass, and they tried to snag a player behind. It did not work. Demul is still running about, running circles around. Hugie is going to get the final shot. No, decent bolt, but not enough. It only enables Stemo to stay along for that much longer to get the damage high up for that offensive scout. And now the Frenchies, 20% advantage. They're in a similar position as the Swedes were when they clawed their last round push.
This is such a golden ticket for France, right? They have to go in, but they have to act super fast. Gar, 95%, but France, they're just not quite in yet. Now Gar has an Uber of his own and his Brudgeman taken down pretty much immediately. They don't even get the force here. They might just lose their demo. And I like the idea of the push, but unfortunately, they just don't quite get far in enough. And that means that Sweden deflect the push. 2 players down now for France, and they're looking to push in onto their own second hit.
You see, the difference is that Hugie was so very constringent there on the right side. He was completely shutting down every space, and he was so safe as well. No team has lost a casualty, as one player is going to spawn. Demul, however, is in a sticky situation after all. He is on a 12-second respawn wave as we speak. The difference, I talked about it earlier. Hugie was keeping his life. He was having a lot of curtain fire with his stickies, and then Jan jumping in. Alien was sent to the moon, to the Mars, wherever, into respawn. So again, 13 minutes to go on face value, only 4 minutes for the French to finally get a last push going.
Demul opting to try a bit of sniping. Boulder in the meantime, sneaking in on Spy, checking the off classes, and so Sweden will be aware of the sniper coming out to Demul. However, Grix does fall to a bit of spam here from Alien. This is going to open up the door a little bit for Demul to try going and snipe, but he's instantly shut down by spam. However, it's cascading. One frags turns into another, which turns into another. Sentry gun down. Demo is down as well. Boulder, Grix both fall. Hugie 26, and that's just a free force. France finding it from nothing. Water from stone. And that means France, ginormous advantage here. They're going to pop in the Uber. They're going to go straight in. Decent damage onto Gar, who does fall. Now, have to deal with the Heavy, who drops down low, and he is taken down as well. 12 minutes left on the clock, but it's one frag onto Alien here. Sweden holding on for now, despite not having any heals. The soldiers are up on top, but they don't have the rest of their team with them. Demul on this sniper is just not doing enough damage on his own. One soldier wants to go in. It is Rond, trying to keep his team in the game. Hugie will crater, but it's enough for now because Boulder keeps the rest of his team alive. Alien is backed off, and Sweden hold on with a hair.
What a car crash. literally was a car crash. It was so brutal for the Frenchies, and you can't look away. It won't go away. Their ticket, it was so rife. It's insane. They weren't able to push that last point. All you need to do, if you look at it generally, abstractly speaking, to turtle up with your heals in play. The enemy team doesn't have heals, but all those players had a lot of DM, and going onto the same players, wonderful focus fire alongside it. And speaking about it, it is still commencing. Hugie, however, is the player that falls in the transition of capping the second point, and no demo man. 20 or 10% advantage for Gar, but if they are fast to pressure the issue here, then no demo man can definitely open the door so very wide.
You can see the idea, right? They want to go in and get this force off of Gar. They've kind of already given up a little bit on trying to get the round victory, but it starts with a nice force. Unfortunately, just not able to get it. Sacking in two, Demul and Ron's both falling. I feel like the push, I think they kind of used the pressure of the Sniper right initially to try and pressure out, get that force going on to Gar in the first place. But then afterwards, you saw in that push, unfortunately, Sniper just unable to put out the amount of damage that they need. So now we're back in an even Uber situation. Once again, Boulder chilling on Spy in spawn, making absolutely sure no funny business going on the French side, and they just don't find anything. Instead now, completely vanilla, but it's Ron's finding the sentry gun pick.
But precisely, nicely described. Demul was their victor early on and trying to go for the hero shot, but after he didn't find anything, he was a mere liability as they were not able to seal it out. And furthermore, we're only watching no off classes at all, only Alba having a full sentry gun up. And I also know that I'm usually heralding or appealing to the fan favorite. Boulder was one of the key differences there on Bagel, but on the Pyro class he was not really able to shut all those spamming classes down, and consequently he's not on the Pyro class even defending this point. Rons is in, juggled into the sentry gun. It's cleaning him out of the picture white noise that was by Alba for the enemy team, and it is slowly ticking the time down.
That's kind of all you want for the Swedish side, right? You want to just tick down the time ever so slowly. You're up around. This is Kata's theory, classic EU TF2 theory. No point in pressuring the issue, especially not right now, right? You can see the sack wave comes in, so Boulder rather back on that Spy, making sure once again no funny business coming out. The pressure from the French side, you can't really sack anything in until you get that sentry kill. Now, sentry gun does go down, which means we're once again probably going to see some soldiers coming in. It's once again in through lower right now. Rudgeman manages to sneak very far forward, but it's crit shotgun shots this time instead that completely shut down that aggression. Now, both soldiers down for the French side, only losing one for Grix, and you just take this trade any day of the week, right? It's 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on this round, 8 minutes 30 total. Sweden are absolutely being chilling right now.
I'm not even sure if the Frenchies are that put down if they're confronted with another mid-fight, because the problem is they're just never able to push a last point for the sake of them. They have done it one time in a brilliant conversion rate, but not doing it anymore. Alien is trying to spam from afar. Boulder is on the sniper, rolling out on the cozy camper, and some interesting primary rifle. No, never mind, it's a normal one, it's the original one. Then Scouts running in. Bruchman has some crit charges stored, and the sentry gun is furthermore rendered harmless. This robot not on the field, but Bruchman in the result of that went down, and 1.5 minutes only. We're talking about this slowly ticking down time.
Yep, once again, no reason to push whatsoever. France needs to find some kind of way to break this push. They've been quite successful, honestly, in shutting down the sentry. Instead, now, it's just going to be an Uber trade straight in, but it takes them so long to get that force onto Garb, which they do manage to get. Now, you have to be able to somehow take a fight, but it doesn't start with losing 3 of your players as they desperately try to funnel in through right side. Alien can find 1 frag onto Hugie. Mula with another little bow there onto Boulder as Sweden gets aggressive. They do find that kill onto Alien, and now there's just 2 up here on second. Runs, wants to go in, wants to go beast mode on his own.
It could have been so much worse. Rons win that 1v1. It could have been so much worse for France as the heavy hitters went down early, but Alien winning a 1v1 against Hugie and Mueller then has a quarrelsome quarrel for the enemy team. Boulder is perpetually shot weak. Half of the cap time has already faded, not into insignificance maybe. Well, it will currently as QB is waiting for a bolt. He was so weak and not bold as ever, charging forward, and the heavy weapons guy is once more this raid boss that you can't really deal with if you're like shot low and your HP is really not favoring you.
Yeah, dude, Albert just absolutely farming the DPM. They're making it. They're really trying to force this issue here on the French side. But unfortunately, that's a kill on to Alien here as he wants to win. You can see that they so desperately want this frag. Mueller is very close to having an Uber here. But with who? Now, they do manage to get this force on to Sweden. And that is just a round timer running out. Sweden holding up for now. And that means that they get 2 points for, or 1 point rather, for free. We're going to go all the way back to middle here.
They don't know who they are facing yet if they haven't monitored the simultaneous game that has ended earlier than this game, this very game that you're watching. So they have to, whichever team wins here has to beat England in the grand finals, but both of those teams really want to do it. You have to keep in mind that Sweden only have to keep this very scoreline alive, and they won the very first map, so they will be going to the grand final if nothing changes, and the Frenchies have to win so much as Rons comes in, finds Scar. That could be the initiation ritual for his team to barrel forward, get those juicy damage numbers high up the moor. Completely caught into Tetris. He is fair and square, getting put into the dumpster, and they're chasing out Mueller, who is surviving. Gar did not survive in the end, so Frenchies can repush this point with heals.
They are doing so. Actually, they really have to be careful here. You really have to protect Mueller as well. Yes, you can push in because you have this advantage, but you do not want to pop Uber here at all. You want to keep this to run it forwards all the way. Preferably not even really pop it on second, right? If you are popping on second, you want to give yourself a big enough advantage to where you can roll it all the way to last. Now, France, they have this middle captured. Moving on to second, it is now up to Sweden to either get this force out or run back, or just delay. Gar, 50% Uber of his own. They're trying to build this out. Mueller eating a bit of spam, but there's a pack right there waiting for him. And that's France getting this second point relatively uncontested. There's still 25% advantage for them to go with, and they're just looking to send it straight through the lower here.
They're coming through dungeon, and let's see if they can find a salvation once more. It is all coming to fruition. No pick as of yet. The sentry gun is going to get dealt with, and they're so far in though. Gar falls Kratos to the ground, and that could give them this much needed advantage since Mueller is up and a lot of players still to beam. They're rotating to the high ground, and they have all those players in the beam. Griggs pretty weak, and he has to shoot at the point. The point is so close. No one is really watching. It is so close. Once more, QB wants to listen to my voice.
Oh my God, huge.
Pipes are magnetic. They can't push this point for the sake of them.
Absolute heroics there from Hugie and Alba combining, dealing so much damage, keeping their team in this round. Now, we're in a situation, the round timer saying 4 minutes, the map time saying 3.5. This means that Sweden, they can just run down the remaining 3 minutes and the ball is entirely in the French court. It is 40% advantage here for Mueller. They can go in. It is a level 3 gun, but Sweden once again have to hold off this push from France. It's coming straight in. The sentry gun's down immediately here.
A lot of cap time. I mean, they had a lot of cap time from the round before and the push before, and it is going to work out. 4 players still alive of Sweden, but tie round. Finally, they heard enough of me screaming, and I'm going to take my heart meds in a second. Like, honestly, it seemed like the map was turning against the Frenchies. All of their efforts were really only trials and tribulations, as this point seemed to be never able to be kept by them, but it is the tie round, 2.5 minutes. Do you take any sort of shot in the dark now and overcommit yourselves, or do you just bank onto the golden cap onto both of those teams?
Absolutely. You take this mid-fight, you can see it already. Both soldiers quite aggressive, but it's a lot of damage onto France. Yorn is in behind. He can have a big collapse into choke here. Unfortunately, not finding the rockets, but look at the French health. It's so low. They have to back off for now. And this is Sweden taking control of this midpoint. Runs unable to get in through Cafe. The spam is enough for now. It's one Brudgeman bombing in right into the crosshairs of Boulder and Alba. Shut down Alien, getting a bit aggressive and just gets taken down. It's both soldiers down for Sweden. One scout whirling in as well. Alba doing so much work here, deflecting the French aggression. They are coming in. They might even get this cap here. Trying to get the forward spawn is blocked off for now, and now the Uber comes in for one side. Mula has it as well on his own. Rons is so low behind, but Mula has successfully juked this for now. He's still alive. He's still 100%. Sweden, they do not manage to find much besides a single scout frag, and this is, I mean, the French players, they're down players, but they have this giant advantage. Look at where Sweden is sitting. They're so far back.
Mula showing his capabilities. What an absolute juke, and it is going to give them this full 100%. They lose some players on the wayside. Yarn is a victim. Over 1 minute, still decent enough and good enough of time to push this. Griggs is going to bump in, but Mula is not so far ahead. He takes 2 rockets, but was left on 40 HP, unforced, not completely unscathed, but good enough. 30% only separates Gar from equalizing things greatly and evening the grounds. The gun is up to a level 2 and is going to get perpetually spammed as the cap time is going to come out. Sticky's only presenting a danger on that point as we speak, and the peril is coming out. How much Uber was in like Gar's medigun, but it doesn't matter. The Frenchies are going to walk onto that point. They're going to seal it off. 3, 2, not enough time for the Swedes to come back, and that seals the deal as we go to the third map. One, you know, you have eyes. How much percentage was that on Gar? That must have been fingernails and like skin of their teeth.
Unfortunately for Gar, they're 97% as the bomb comes in at the very last second there for the French side, and they managed to take the dub on a nail-biting second map. We could not do anything else besides going to a map number 3 here. And we were talking about it earlier, right? Do you go into that mid and do you try to send it with 2 minutes left, or do you just push it to the golden cap? The French team, from heroics out of Mula, managed to find themselves with a massive advantage, pressured all the way out to last, and then just a crucial bomb at the end there, managing to finally convert another round. That's them 3-2. We go to a map number 3. I have to alt-tab to figure out what it is we're going to process.
It's good to see that our minds are in sync, as I also wanted to point out that Mula was the one that won the French this round, this much-needed round, and it prevents them going to a golden cap round where they start all over and then try to cap that last point on a, I think, 15-minute timer. But the potency was fully unleashed, and they pushed in. It was so clinical. What a wonderful story. Like, real life writes the best stories. You couldn't even figure out a better game if you tried to write it down and use your fiction. But as we speak, I'm maybe going to take a... Did you already look at logs? Because otherwise I can do to you what you did to me. But I'm not 100% sure if I see any player going to... Yeah, I mean, we are talking about Boulder. What do you think is the KD on Boulder this game on Sunshine? I mean, is he really doing that much?
Oh my god, Tomato, I'm just going to use my clairvoyance of looking at my second monitor that tells me that Boulder went 19 for 6 and absolutely crushing it. But I think, I mean, this is kind of the story of Boulder, right? Sometimes he does, you do see him, right? He's putting up these stats, and this was a very close game. Fortunately, not quite able to make the difference this time around, however. It is just the difference there for France. I think the story might even be Alien Smiley just outperforming ever so slightly hugely there as well. But yeah, such a close game. It's separated by such small margins. I'm honestly really surprised that was not a golden cap.
Also, to ride along those lines of how arbitrary locks are, I'm never holding behind the mountain. Well, that is a German idiom, but I'm never hiding what my thoughts are on locks, because I think that people that just look at locks and don't look at the game, they can go where the sun doesn't shine, honestly. Like, honestly, locks are so arbitrary. You only understand them if you watch the game, and you said it. This Also, pointing out the differences is so obscure since Swedes on face value get more frags, 83 to 71 frags on the French side. Also, Alien top fragging, but Hugie is only 10 damage per minute behind looking at it. And also, similar sort of deaths, 7 more frags onto Hugie compared to Alien, but Demoman don't get the frags always. They need to get the damage so the other players clean up. Fantastic medic performance by both of those medics. Even higher healing stats, 0 drops this time around, but quite high octane action. Mula dying 3 times in 29 minutes and Gar dying 5 times. So level packing game, honestly, process is the only real and logical conclusion to this close of a fight. I would give it to either team right now. Swedes have really impressed me, and the French have shown that they can pull it back. They're in a dire looking situation, but they don't care at all. It seemed as if the map before turned against them. They were never able to push that last point, but they've finally done it for the longest sake. So do you even have something that you can professionally predict here?
I think I can predict a close game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think we are going to have a close game once again. I don't know if we will see the golden cap. Well, yeah, whatever. We're going to get a golden cap this time, Tomato. And yeah, we can flip a coin. I think, wait, okay, let's do this. I can Google coin flip, and then you can tell me if you want to be heads or tails. Wait, actually, first, let's decide who's heads in this situation.
I'm saying it lands on the rim anyway, like not on. No,
we just sit here forever.
No. I'm saying, well, Boulder has all this damage, so I'm saying he's tails because the French team obviously had Mula, with a head play. He was thinking a lot. He was dodging, weaving, and diving. I'm not saying that the French are smarter than the Swedes. That is not what I want to imply here, but I say French are heads and the Swedes are tails.
Okay. All right, I'm going to do it right now. Okay, so we go to google.com and then
we would do a best out of 3 anyway, right? Because we have a best out of 3.
Coin flip, and it is a heads.
It is a heads once. You have to do it 3 times because we're on 3 maps.
Okay, well, second one is a tails.
Yeah, obviously.
And the third one is a heads.
Ooh, France winning it. You heard it here first from Wendum. If he's not correct, please go into his comment section and post.
Yep.
You're not a real caster. You just use, per chance. No, never mind. I mean, honestly, coin flip is probably the terminology to use here. Those slim margins really not mattering at all. You'd say that the French might have the so-called momentum since they just won the second map and they were on the brink of being knocked out, and now they might be happy to seal it out. But on process, let's get a little bit tactical. Who do you think has the edge here on process? A team that is more heavily reliant on soldiers or scouts that tear through everybody?
I think this might be the map where we see the Alba and sort of Boulder Scout combo diff here, as I do think they have kind of been outperforming the QB and Demure Scout combo. I think as much as QB has been having a good game, I feel like, honestly, when there is a player getting caught out on the French side, a lot of the time it just has been Demure. And I feel like maybe this might just end up being the difference maker in the end. We're going to have to see, honestly, a bit of a step up here for Demure to be able to hang. I feel like Alba, for the longest time, in my mind, hasn't been the best scout in Europe, but this series so far, he has been really, really good as well, making up for the sort of the lackings, let's say, of Boulder. When you have that kind of passive, more sort of straightforward pocket scout gameplay, I think Alba's doing a very good job of sort of filling in the blanks, getting in behind unnoticed. Really good job from him, and I think we just need to see a little bit more from Demure here heading into this third map.
I also want to remind them that we only have 35 minutes until the final is scheduled, but obviously they can't play the final if those set teams haven't even concluded theirs, and if the other semifinal is so unevenly matched, how is that their own fault? I'm going to take a prediction though and say that the Swedes will carry the way here. Boulder, you called him out in a good way, and he still even put in the work on that secondary or in the second map on Sunshine, where his team was nominally outgunned. They were holding the last point, but they were outgunned on mid and on second. We don't have a heat map. We had one earlier, but like a lot of years ago. But we don't have that right now. But I'd say that the damage was favoring the Frenchies even on the second and mid. But those long crutch holds on last made it seem as if the like the damage was sort of equal. And that also, by the way, explains the discrepancy in picks, since the Frenchies were just suiciding into a last hold all that much more often. But they're taking their sweet time here. I'm not even sure what I can mention elsewhere. Who's your favorite player in this game? Not the one with the most, like, who has the best heads?
Just my favorite player?
Yeah, just your favorite player. I mean,
okay, the bias
no.
says...
What people usually do is talk about heads, but the problem is I have a no head mod, so, well...
Yeah. I'm also running DX9, but like a really bad DX9, so I can't see anything anyway. I'm gonna be honest, I have to, unfortunately, raise my hands and admit to the world that I might be a bronze fanboy just a little bit. Which is a bit of a shame, but unfortunately it just is how it goes, yeah? On this server right now, out of these 12 players. But, that being said, unfortunately, I am Danish, which means that Sweden is like an hour's drive away from where I live. And that means that I can only pick one team to take us all the way, get up against England in the finals. And of course, will be none other than Alba and Boulder. They will lead me to victory. Grix as performing very, very well alongside Jorn. I think Hugie as well, having a standout little series for himself. I think it should be enough. We're going live. This is map number 3 of the semifinals of the Nations Cup. It is Sweden and France pushing each other all of the way across both maps, being very, very close so far. Now we're on the final one. It's Process. Either of them wanting to go up against England in the finals here, Tomato, and we're running it onto mid.
If this suspense is sustained onto Process, then it feels like the grand final by all but official terminology, as Bruchman is on the blue crates, and the high ground control was a bit more in the favor of the Frenchies early on, but Boulder and Alba are a scout pair who have something different to say about it, and they are sort of locking Mula out of even covering any ground, as now they switch here counterclockwise, and Grix and Jan trying to leap into the sky heights. It's only a little bit of fake bomb. Boulder is finally the first victim who gets obliterated, and Alba shot apart as well. So a number advantage for the Frenchies.
Oh no! It's just Jorn in behind, managing to find that kill into Mula in the end. It was looking so good for France, right? But then Jorn just gets in, finds the frag, and how Grix manages to escape with his life. But that is such a big kill. Mula falls at the very end.
And they're trying to deny the stragglers on the Swedish team this much needed passage, but taking the second point now, it was a lot of cap time on the second point, but Frenchies are going to back out. It is only meager, infinitesimal, not even worth talking about, disadvantage of like 2 or 3. You see, Mula is always building better, so it's even, well, at least right now, it is equal. The sewer area is confined with French players who are locking it off, and they are just watching each other until the equal Ubers tick up, and we see probably an Uber exchange here.
We'll have to see what happens. France trying to pressure a little bit from different angles here. Stamul and Rons pressuring in PC. It's Mula. Hitting a little bit of spam here. Grix wanting to bomb across. Alien falling quite low, and now there's not really a medic to heal him. He has to walk all the way back to middle to heal up on this pack, and now Mula once again is so very low. Just QB left on his lonesome. Counter bomb does come in from Brudgmans. That's a lot of damage onto a Boulder and onto Hugie. But once again, neither team really able to find any kind of angle. It's the enemy side. We're back and it's even, and both teams regrouping.
That was such a perilous position for Mula and QB. Mula was trying to dish out the heals, but he was weak himself, and QB, obviously being the pocket scout and the spearhead of most of those pushes, fell down to the ground in a nick of time, but was able to keep his life. Ultimately, Alien is sniping them away with long-range stickies, but doesn't really find his much-needed venue for the stickies to come in. It allows Demul to walk in only into Alba, and Bruchman also maybe spotted in the sky. He is spotted in the sky. I saw Gar almost falling down. They wonderfully kept their flanks checked by the Swedish,
Now, counter-aggression is going to come out from Sweden. They do get those 2 picks, and they are kind of looking to go through chokes, see what opportunities present themselves. So far, it's a lot of spam from Rons up top, as France are just kind of trying to deal with this, and so far, the sticky damage does come across from Alien, and that is an immediate walk back. Sweden not willing to take any more fights in that regard. Instead, it's Jorn in versus Demul, hitting decent damage so far. Demul just having to walk right back out. We're back to where we started. Once again, now France in sewers.
Not sure why Mula is doing these fake calls that he has. Obviously he has. Nothing has happened for the past 30 seconds of the game. And this mid push was a little bit obscured, obviously, by the rock, but also by the fact that they didn't want to cross anymore into that midpoint on the Swedish side. So it has equalized, I see. And look at a Broochman who is not really finding the damage.
Oh my god.
Both scouts get obliterated in pursuit of defending Gar.
Grix with a nice little rocket there. Unfortunately, I think this is still Sweden with on the hell of a back foot there. The bomb coming in from Brudgman and Rons is so good. Cleaning up Boulder and Alba instantly. They will be up, but will it be in time now? Uber for both sides. Another team haven't popped quite yet. Both scouts still up, and it's Alba coming in. Rocket from Jorn, tucking Brudgman to bed. And that should be the French aggression for now. Shut down as Alien falls to stickies from Hugie, and I think Sweden, they're holding on for now. Demul falling as well, and that's it. The push has been averted.
Hugie, so weak. He was also a very pivotal part to thwart that push. Jan in lobby, upper IT, both soldiers jumping on that point. The Frenchies are long gone. They've booked their ticket in advance. Rons is trying to scope out the angles and see what position he is presented, but the upper IT push of Mula and company onto Rush is coming out. It is a better Uber for the Swedes as they only had to pop later, but significant damage still following up. Broochman craters, breaks his ankles.
Now, one soldier pick here for Sweden. Are they going to look to try and get in onto mid? They're looking like it. Decent little far forward positioning? No, never mind. They decide against it. Ubers are even for now, but I don't think they're looking to just take this even Uber fight. Neither team has Uber. They don't want to dry push it. Instead, sitting back, building up the Uber on second. Neither team has a round yet.
If you've just been tuning in and you see, oh wow, that's a lot of action, I can tell you. That is the least amount of action we have witnessed tonight. It is still a 0-0 scoreline after 6 minutes. Have faded into, well, the distance, and that was not the case on the prior maps. But
oh my god, the Wolf's just in! He's in from behind. He manages to sneak in and get that force. Crucially, he makes Gar flash like 4 times. This Uber's gone already here, Tomato. And I think this is a French big opportunity to go in. They do have a Jorn in PC to worry about. But he's going to come right back out now. Grix up high. Going to try to go for the sync bomb, but Mula reads it. Jorn wants to go in as well. Finds one rocket and gets the force. That's all you need. Saving his team once again.
It was so symbolic. I was looking at the 5 French players, but the one that was missing was the key playmaker in that scenario, as he gets the force onto Gar, but inversely, Mula also gets a force. I'm not even sure if he would have gotten the second rocket on, but never mind, as they're already onto last. Rons is pressuring Mula, Gar. He can't do the Benny bind and spawn farther back. Alba is obliterated, and let's see what they tear apart even more so, as all the players are going to fight long term here. Only 2 left alive. Hugie dead. Boulder wiped out from the screen. 1-0 for Red.
It's Jorn getting in, getting that crucial force, but at the same time, that means it's 3 dead for Sweden, and they just do not have the numbers to stave off the French push. They can come in, and unfortunately, they just lose that first round. Still, 22.5 minutes to play for. So much time for them to come back. Once again, we're back onto mid. Rons and Jorn both going for fast rollouts. It's a lot of early damage here onto Hugie. Needs to wait for that bow. Back in onto mid. Grix unfortunately flubs that bomb. It's Brudgman coming in onto the point instead. It's an early kill onto Alba here. Now counter bombs are coming out. Brudgman, once again, super low, but it's looking like France so far. They have further control of high ground, I say. Hugie from nowhere. He snipes down Mula with stickies, and that means that now France just has no heals. Sweden are stuck on the enemy side, but they have a medic. They're down 2 players here, but they're going to be forced to take this really strange fight.
It looked as if the Vasa dominion of the Swedes was so strong early, but out of nowhere, Hugie found a pick onto Mula, which then enabled them to get the grip, and he's going to get forced into Suaga. Well, goes down, not even that much in the damage numbers, but Boulder also went very weak. There are 4 players even behind. Never mind, I'm just going to get my view a little bit distracted. They're just going to cap the point right now, and it was the Swedes being so far ahead. Yeah, a little bit advantage now for Mula. Stickies on the choke are presenting a danger, but the soldiers are going to leap forward, not sitting on that fence all that long. No, Griggs wants to own the skies, and Jan is a secondary soldier who bombs forward. Alien is torn apart.
So much damage into one there as they try to bomb in, desperately trying to get in onto Mula before he gets his Uber. Unfortunately, it's a super nice early kill into Alien as well, getting that demo frag, but unfortunately unable to follow up Mula, just a little bit too far back. And now 40% advantage here for France. They are down a player, which means they're not really willing to push. And instead, I think we're settling back in to an even Uber situation. QB just up on a spy in spawn. Not just spawn. He's looking go for a little stab.
I wanted to call out earlier, the Frenchies are finally the architects of their own success. Before, it only really seemed as if they could do as much as the Swedes allowed them to do, but now they're 1 round up, they're on their own second point, and they're even feeling so comfortable to have QB on off class as he's going to sneak behind, not really uncloaking as he only chills on the midpoint as Jan and Alba are battling, but losing that battle in IT.
They lose Yorn as well on QB right now. He doesn't have to uncloak, right? Because just supplying information, right, on this second point is so valuable for France. If the opportunity presents itself, like it may or may not do just any second. Look at how close he is. He just sits there with the cloak and dagger. If you know where this team is, it's so much easier to deal with the surprise of PC aggression or sewer aggression. QB's just sitting, waiting for the perfect moment. Does not need to go for the stab yet.
Maybe you can wait for a soldier bombing in, but inversely, it's fine for the Frenchies to tick down this clock. Obviously, you have to keep in mind that 20 minutes is still a lot of time and maybe not the possibility and the biggest opportunity to park the bus as we speak, as that could be dropped. As QB comes in, he gets a stab! He was waiting for so long, sneaks out. The patience on that man. The Frenchies with the spy could be eponymous of their success story. QB is still up alive, and they never had a spy, so he was not expected. Alba on that sniper class, but the Frenchies with that iron grip, and it is only ever getting stronger.
This is really, really good for France now, right? They're coming in through PC with a giant advantage. Sweden, they really need to get this force out onto Mula. Nice early shot there from Alba onto the Mula. Shuts down the aggression a little bit. You can see now it is Mula and Alien hesitating quite a bit there in PC. Brudgeman eating a lot of early damage as well. So now Sweden managed to stave off the initial aggression, the early sniper kill onto Demul. Once again, such a big play. Now Hugie is in sewer, might get caught out. It's just an Uber coming in straight in onto Alba, and they will just be sacrificing their sniper, sacrificing their demo as well, just sitting in no man's land, but trading it. Huge advantage here for Gar, but can they keep him alive? He's 70%, and France, they're not looking to push.
They're also going to deny both of those aforementioned players. Hugie back spawning, Alba spawning now, but Hugie still on a 5-second respawn wave, and you have mentioned it, he was a little bit out of a position, and that Uber was set into motion. It is set into motion for the blue team. Builders League United, maybe destruction squad as well, but Mula surfs it out. Griggs, Jan are the complementary players to fall. Brugman is still in behind, gets found out, sniffed out. Not saying that he smells, but it is smelling as victory maybe for the Swedes, capping that midpoint. Mula has an Uber advantage once more. It is just flip-flopping to the second points. You know, we didn't really see a last point in the last 5 to 6 minutes being pushed.
Right now, it is still a big advantage here for France, right? They're sitting at about 40% advantage here. Mula will have built this up to Sweden still. If they can get the force out as France come in onto middle, it is all for the better. The Uber does just come out straight onto Alien, who looks to jump forward, but eats a lot of damage, and Sweden are all out of there. The French Uber finds nothing, and now Gar, counter advantage. No picks to really work with here, but can Sweden reverse the deal, get in, and take some space, take some kills where France couldn't find any.
Both teams are playing rather cautious, as it is happening right now that Rons is bombing the enemy team's rock, and sort of maybe that or just the call forced Gar to pop in this position. They get basically no one. So both of those teams playing so safe, and we also see a 6% advantage onto Mula. Let's see if they can make some fruits that are going to get reaped in a second.
Mula now, once again, huge advantage here. Uber's ping-ponging backwards and forwards. Zamul is in behind, making havoc, causing havoc as he finally gets taken down. But that means Sweden are nowhere near middle. They cannot get any spam onto Mula now. Instead, he's going to have a big advantage. And instead of pushing mid with it, he can push second. Much more favorable for France as they're taking control of mid. So far, they're still down a player. But there we are, aggressing in onto second. It's an Uber popped straight onto Alien, who flies oh so very high. Bombs in onto rollout, but just gets shut down. Instead is Grix and Boulder, who dies to a roller at the very end of that push. But the Uber should be sustained for now, or abstained rather. As now, Sweden, big advantage here as well. But they have to hold on to last. They're down 2 players.
The heat is abating, I'm telling you. Sweden probably won't push out in time, and Grix and Boulder saying this only then respawn. Alien is trying to pressure through 5, and it is creating the momentum for Brugman to bomb forward, claim Grix. Uber is forced as a result of that action, as Dimur snuck in from the 5 area consequently, and still a lot of decent heavy hitters on that second for the Frenchies to be so suppressive, to lock out the chokes and to only play this high ground. The Swedes don't even want to push out, since you're risking yourself to being completely collapsed upon. Sentry gun level 2, but full Uber advantage for Mula.
Full Uber advantage for Mula as France played that trade in so very well. Getting the force on the gun, not losing too many players, and that means that now they have a 30% advantage they can push with. Sentry gun got shut down before the push even began. Means the level 1 falls as well. Now, Sticky's mostly cleared off the pointers. The Uber is popped. Gar, 85%, as he is just going to fall to the bomb coming forwards. Now, Hugie does have Stickies on the point, but he's forced to right-click. Sweden are actually coming back up for now, as now France have entrenched themselves up in this corner here, up on top, as they're looking to try and come forward. Stickies are back up onto the point, looking to send in their scout across as the Uber's finally coming out from Mula. They find the kill onto Boulder, and now what can they do? Is Mula just picking up that Uber? I'm pretty sure picking up that medigun for the side of Gar, but unfortunately the Uber doesn't do much, as now the enemy Uber back up as Gar is spawning, but there's Stickies on the point, but France are just on it instead. There's no one to hold it for now. One soldier so low. France is steaming forwards, and they're steaming forward to a 2-0 lead. Sweden on the back foot.
I don't want to bicker about what defines as a last push, but that was one of the longest last pushes I've seen in a recent while. What, like 1 minute or so of that last push? Trench warfare was really the word of choice in that scenario, as the Frenchies regrouped on their own high ground, and you might have thought that the Swedes are able to do what they have done numerous times, especially onto Sunshine. No heals, but still hold on. Mula catching up on the Uber, but they were not able to find the picks early. Other like outworldly was the cap time though, so it worked out. The Swedes are so much farther passive post shot in their own choke, but they find the frags.
It is one Rons in behind, who does manage to get that kill onto Yorn. Means now Rons, he's quite low, but losing a lot of players there. No Alien up for the Swedish side. Alba has to be a bit careful.
By the way, again.
Rons got to shoot spawn camp. Instead, they're just going forwards and they're destroying the combo. The crits from Hugie, we saw it on map number 1, comes through, takes down Mula, takes down QB. It's a kill onto Rons this time around, and now France, they're down 3. They don't have a medic for last, and Sweden are looking to surge in through lobby here.
Gar also picked up the medigun, but he's going to pick it up not anymore, as the 3k alongside the rocket came out. Huge sticky trap. Jan is the only one left for this world. Will he put into eternal slumber? No, he wants to evacuate the premises. Even more so, huge sticky trap. Wonderful cheeky strat by Sweden to pick up crits, completely demolish the opposition, and then pick up the medigun, but maybe a bit too fast on the draw, not checking for stickies early enough, and it stays 2-0 for France.
Alien, massive little play there towards the end, getting those 2 frags, completely shutting down the push coming in from Sweden. Now, Mula has a big advantage. Gar is back up. No, he's not. He's still on the crits. They want to go again. He didn't change it in the spawn, and I think now with Mula on this Uber here, they're just going to send this through. And what can Sweden realistically do? They have to kite out this Uber and come back in. Now, they don't lose any players for the initial push, and now all eyes once again. They're on to Hugie. There's a lot of French players on the point. He's sending in the crits, and he's shooting the sticky, and it doesn't find anything. France, too far back. They haven't been caught out by the crit stickies this time, but this instead means that they just have no positioning on mid. The health bars aren't there. Sweden can keep on rolling this.
Especially Kubi was shot weak by the longest range crit scattergun shot, and he had to hide behind the rock. Simply no positioning, you said it. Also, since Kritzkrieg builds that much faster than Medigun, they might have it on par, even though Mula is always keeping his head completely and his mind plugged to that building progress. It will be equal Ubers up, but Uber is going to beat crits any day of the week, and we saw that if they're aware of it, and they were aware of it. Also, France simply kiting that crits early on really well, but it just allowed the space. Still, 10.5 minutes. We have the same vocabulary as before, the same terminology. Time ticks down to 1 up for France.
They are now once again staring down the barrel of a crits, but I feel like the crit surprise factor is so far removed now, right? As it is just huge, he's going to have to make some kind of magic happen as the crits is just shot in, but the counter immediately comes out. Huge rocket from crits, denying the push ever so forwards there, but it is Hugie falling, and now with no demo man, it's so hard for Sweden to hold on. They do find the early kill onto Brudgeman as well, as no French players are really able to properly get in through choke. Demore shut down, and Sweden are finding the advantage in this fight. One runs in behind, making magic happen, but it's a 3-3 here. Gar still up alive. He's not healing any of his players, though. Has to reconnect with the soldier, but once again, he didn't die. He's still on this crit screen. It's just not working.
Rons was gobbling on that rocket as he gets blown up. Yawn also gets blown up. Find some stickies. Stickies diffused is what you call in that scenario. Hugie and Gar don't want to give this cap up just so now. Elliot and Rons are on their side. They're not really spotted, I don't think so, and Hugie's a little bit on the low ground, and they're watching it right now, going to cap it out. Equal, like, Uber charges on paper, but crit streak still used by Gar, so Uber is going to beat that crit streak.
Gar, unfortunately, just forced to walk over to
also,
stickies.
Rons is going to beat that crit streak.
Yeah, unfortunately, just ends up paying for it with his life. Now Mula, 100%, right? No crit streak, no medic at all for Sweden. And this is France. They're looking, if you're looking at France right now, they're looking to take this to a 3-0, right? And with 9 minutes left on the map timer, it might just be France in what has been a lot of close maps sealing the deal on Process, where Sweden, unfortunately, unable to respond so far. Once again, Gar immediately falls in that push. Sentry gun taken care of as well. Grix falls, and there's not much damage dealt to the French side. No stickies really on point. Scout just sitting on it, relatively uncontested. Yorn wants to bump forward, but that's France. 3-0, and they're looking to go to the finals, 1 foot in the door. And Sweden, they only have 8 minutes to respond.
So tactical. They got, in that Uber advantage push, a sentry gun and Grix. That's already enough if you play your cards right, then nudging the cap out all the time, and Hugie making that call to block that point now and trying to recharge back onto it. I know I don't have to give Premiership external validation, but still perfectly played around the crit streak that you know that the enemy team is using, so Mula and QB even alongside Elliot. They're so coordinated, they're so experienced. Boulder is the first victim, and those scouts are getting shut down. Jan is onto Mula. Can he surf it out? He surfs right onto the health pack. Hugie not finding the pipes. He finds the pipe onto Alien, sends him to Mars. Mula is leaving alongside with Demul in IT. Gar on a 30 HP.
Grix, unfortunately, unable to make the flank work, but Alba maybe just might be able to completely 2 shots to Moore, but falls to the bows from Mula, who grabs another health pack, and this is very big for France. Now they take that kill. It's Sweden really committing to that chase, and unfortunately Mula is just too strong. France now regaining control of middle here, runs upwards to Rex at this scout. Didn't quite hit them, but we're back onto mid. I think this is another fight.
It's a danger and a fallacy to maybe disassociate with the game for the Swedes, but they still have to try, as They have to grasp the concept that they are now the underdogs, 3-1 down. You have to be very aggressive. Alien is a player which allows them to charge back forward. No suppressive stickies, no pipes to deal with. Mula perpetually shot weak. He is hopping though like a little bunny rabbit, not going to get caught. 100% onto both of those teams. Alien is still in the respawn queue, and Gar alongside Boulder trying to take that fight to the enemy team. QB wants to chase, doesn't really have the chasing capabilities, but it is going to slow down from a counter to a mere trot. Midpoint kept by Sweden.
Sweden now control of mid, but they have to go fast, right? They're down 3 rounds, and you have to, if you even want to push it to the golden cap, you can't really stand back. That's allowing yourself 2 minutes per round, because they have to keep aggressing. They have control of middle. It's even Ubers, and they're just sending in Yawn. But unfortunately, that's just a scout in the air, and you cannot deal with him. Now, watch out, because it's runs in behind alongside Demul, and he can just come in and collapse on your medic. It's all you need for France. Is now hugely shut down as well. France responding to the Swedish aggression and none able to find much as Boulder, who can't even settle for the Brudgeman kill. And France are looking so good. 5 minutes, 30 seconds. And Sweden, they don't have time to sit back. You honestly, at this point, you just have to keep pushing.
Can just park the bus, or like you can't just stay passive. Exactly, they have to constantly push. Now they're again in an uber disadvantage position. Jan is obliterated, but gets 1 rocket onto Mula. Mula does not force. He is trusting in the capabilities of his familiar scouts, as they have proven their worth so very often. In this game alone, I was already hearing a drop, but never mind, the push is going to come out. Brugman and Alien flashed. QG and Gar completely stuffed in their own right side. That might spell the 4-0. Alba is someone who falls. Demul battling Boulder, but a lot of cap time coming in. The Swedes still have 1 or 2 players left alive, but Griggs is the final one who has to be a fiend to the enemy team. But 4 times cap on that point, 4-0. I'm not saying that it is completely impossible, but you have to be coping a little bit with that. Convalescent measures are only going to help you for so much. If you've just been tuning in, this is not the whole story for this whole evening. It has been so close, but the Frenchies just want to close it off right now.
It is France waking up in the final hour, it seems. Just so dominant on this process. Finally, not giving Sweden any room to play with that all. Runs super aggressive middle. A lot of early damage dealt across the board. And now, Sweden unable to really respond to what they have. There's a lot of damage here, but Hugie has fallen. Ron's in behind is such a nuisance, and Sweden can't get in. Now, Rons can come in, he can crunch, as the rest of France just goes forwards. It's Jorn picked up, and I think this is just curtains. Sweden have performed so valiantly, taking that first map, making it oh so close, potentially even being able to win on map number 2 of Sunshine. But here on Process, feels like finally France are just outmaneuvering them left, right, and center, unable to get in the game. And I think this is just going to be France advancing to the finals against England. Uber Trade is coming out here, but is 1 player down already. And so far, so good for France.
Bauder had a better Uber in duration, since they only had to solo flash, but right now the stars are rising in terms of the French soldiers, and those are pretty bad stars for Gar, etymologically speaking. Disaster and catastrophe it spells for their own ranks. They don't want to play out all this left 3-minute time. No, they want to cap it 5-0. Gar fell down. Mula as well, however, and the Swedish team is further on vying with the enemy team and looking toward that midpoint. Have some stragglers to still clean up. Demul was dealt with, but QB on that sniper class.
QB is just up on the sniper, so we've officially entered what we rightfully refer to as dead time here. QB maybe looking to farm out a few fragments. That's a soldier peeking in his crosshair, maybe a bit on accident, as a scout in as well. Unfortunately, no hero shot has been made so far. Jorn bombing in, and he is just going to get taken down. There's Grix there as well. They want that frag onto the sniper. They do get it, but you're committing to a sniper there, and it's just unfortunately not enough. It's Mula is going to go down to Hugie there. Nice little rocket well onto Hugie from Brudgeman. But now it's such a weird situation, because I feel like Alba chilling on the wrong side. This is Ron's 80 HP, chilling back on his own second, going for airshot rockets. Players that don't exist. Yep.
It's
This
a
is
bit
my goat.
obscure. I mean, we were saying before a star is born. Maybe that was relating to runs. He was just flying all over the place and lightening up these enemy teams. But you said it. It is garbage time. It can be quite long sometimes. Obviously not able to cap 4 more rounds, but that doesn't mean that there are pushovers. Those last 1.5 minutes, roughly, for the Swedes were still something to play for them. They didn't want to give this up. Hugie had a great, huge showdown, piping down Mula, landing on the fence, close range pipe into the fiendish enemy soldier. Griggs is the final one who is left, but I'm at least going to give them this credit of not disassociating with this game just so now. It is only 1 minute to go and into garbage time, but we'll see one last Uber exchange, I suppose, for good mannered sake.
Rons is going to fall before that exchange even happens, and it's traded across the kill on to Yorn here. As now, Sweden are looking to go into sewers here, even Ubers, as you're saying. We might just get a trade here in through sewer, as one team has popped. It is Grix getting in all the way in behind onto second here. This is no rocket there. Onto Brudgman, does find that kill. Now QB coming in. Both scouts looking to collapse onto Gar, as unfortunately Demul not quite finding the rockets, but runs instead and just come through rollout, not finding any frags either. I think Alba might even fancy himself a little bit of a round. There's only one French demo man up on Lars. He's going to have to get himself a bit of a 3k. Fortunately not able to find it, and that is a pity round on the board for Sweden.
I wouldn't say pity round. I say they save their honor there. It at least looks decent on the scoreboard, but players are already leaving a little bit the server. They are posting the GGs, and that is one of the understatements of this evening. At least the GG, I mean, that was a fantastic game, and definitely a lot of sportsmanship being shown right here. Swedes definitely wanted to get into the grand finals, but Frenchies showing what it was worth and getting their iron grip on the very last map. On fleek, as the cool kids say, or said like 10 years ago.
They don't say that. I'm sorry.
Well, they said it 10 years ago. 4-1, it spells for Frenchies. It went all the 3 maps, and Swedes completely pulling no break at all, and, you know, flying through to the second map after winning the first map in a 3-2 nail-bitingly close fashion. Frenchies pouncing back in the last remaining minutes of that Sunshine map, claiming it for them, and here showing their true colors and their true dominion. We don't want to babble on too much, as look, they timed it so perfectly. The grand final can start on time, but I mean, we have a quick cursory glance I would offer to you to those last final locks as we lock in, and the rest of the teams locked in as well. But just from me already, thanks for both of those teams for putting on a great show, and I hope everyone did enjoy that. Yeah, did you load the locks, and do you know what? Locks are up. Baldur's KD not as high as before, so I don't want to play this game anymore with you.
Yep, it is. Once again, I think we're kind of seeing a bit more of a sort of standard process game. Not really anything that stands out too much. I think you're kind of one thing that you do see, right? This was a 4-1 game, and that means that Mula has half of the deaths that Gar had. That just, I mean, yeah, it kind of, I think, is a bit exemplary maybe, as France finally finding a bit of a groove, really managing to get ahead of Sweden in a lot of these sort of uber stalemate situations, where Ron's really also, he's going 22 for 16 on Roma. It's kind of beast mode.
As I said before, I'm not going to back down on my words. I'm not commenting on LexNetL. Who cares about logs? But a broad array of fantastic highlight reel clips was shown. You saw that before. Well, maybe one quick peek onto medic stats as always. Sort of similar heals dished out. Gar, 1 drop. Mula, 1 drop. You said it, sizably fewer deaths by Mula with only 5, and Alien, on the contrary, has 11 deaths, while Hugie has a little bit more. Obviously, it will be augmented by the fact that they lost that round 4-1 and also only got that 1 round for their own sakes in the last 10 seconds. It will be the locks that are only defined by the fact that one team is just very dominant on a game as the game progressed. Do you have anything else neuralgic to point out? Because from me, that was it. Thanks for anyone who tuned in, and I'll give the last words to you.
All right, guys. Commiserations, obviously, to Sweden. A very nice performance there. Finishing 3rd, 4th place. I don't believe there's an official 3rd, 4th match. I guess if they want to arrange one between them and the Germans, they probably more than welcome to. that regards. However, big congratulations to France managing to edge their way through, make it to the finals, which we will be coming up next at some point. It is scheduled to be 21-25, which is in about 10 minutes. We'll see how realistic that is. Obviously, England managed to finish off their match quite quickly. However, France are just coming off their 3-map game already. However, we'll have to see how long that takes. Obviously, we'll be right back with you with the finals. Thank you all so much for watching. But of course, Nations Cup's finals are coming up. If you